This is a sculpture titled Head of a Bearded Man from Cyprus, Greece. Is a 5th century BC limestone sculpture. This limestone head from the island of Cyprus has features that are common in marble sculptures carved in Greece before 500 BC. These include almond-shaped eyes and the ringlets framing his upper face. Located in the eastern Mediterranean off the coast of Asia, Cyprus was a major center of maritime commerce. Along with goods, ideas were also exchanged there. The sculptor of this head may have visited Greece or otherwise known about earlier Greek art, which inspired this. This is a sculpture of an ancient Greek grave marker. It's from Athens, Greece. This is a 380 BC marble sculpture. The deeply carved eyes, with brows and eyelids in high relief, the angular nose, the bow-shaped mouth, and the soft musculature of this youth typify the 4th century BC ideal of male beauty. His mantle attached at one shoulder suggests that he was a servant or slave. Once part of a larger grave monument, this figure might have accompanied his master in a composition similar to the stele seen to the right. This is a sculpture titled Head of an African Man. Is a Roman sculpture from either the 1st or 2nd century AD. Is made of marble. This head appears to depict an African man, perhaps from the region south of Egypt, known to the Romans as Ethiopia. Carved in dark gray mottled stone, the man's features are sensitively rendered. From his dense curls of hair, the centers of which were carved with a drill, to his rounded, slightly parted lips. Although now missing, his deep-set eyes would have included inlays, perhaps of bone, glass, or stone, in order to create a more realistic appearance. The creases that flank his mouth give only a slight hint of his age, suggesting that he is no longer a youth. This is a sculpture of the torso of Heracles. Among Romans, Heracles, whom they call Hercules, became a model for moral lessons, specifically that work is rewarded with rest, whether in life or death. Many Roman patrons desired to have small-scale versions of well-known statues of Hercules in their homes. This is a body chain from the Byzantine Empire from around 625 AD. This is the largest piece of jewelry to have survived the early Byzantine period. 2 large medallions with pierced decorations secure 4 chains that are themselves made up of 23 open-work gold discs ornamented with alternating patterns. The chains would have been worn over both shoulders and beneath the arms. With the medallions positioned at the center of the front and back of the torso, it would have been worn over the clothes of an adult woman, accentuating the body in a provocative manner. This is a picture of the Roman Lycurgus cup. It's made in the 4th century. It's made of glass, silver, and gold with modern metal mounts. This cup takes its name from the mythological figure of Lycurgus, king of Thrace, who was receiving divine punishment for intruding on the secret rituals of Dionysus, the god of wine, and his followers. Here Lycurgus is being strangled by vines that issue from the transformed body of Ambrosia, one of the god's female followers. To her left is a satyr. To the right of Lycurgus is Pan, the half-human, half-man god of nature. The cup is extraordinary for its technique. The figures on this cup were carved in relief from a thick block of glass. Equally astonishing, the composition of the glass itself contains traces of gold and silver, which affect its appearance. When viewed in direct light, the cup appears greenish in color. When light passes through the vessel, its color changes to a translucent ruby red. This is a sculpture of a torso of a Roman emperor. It is late 1st, early 2nd century AD marble sculpture. A Roman emperor spent most of his time on distant battlefields, defending or enlarging the empire's territory. In a tradition that continues to this day, victories were celebrated with commemorative portraits. This fragment was once part of such a statue. However, without the separately made portrait of the head, it is impossible to say which emperor this statue honored. This emperor is dressed in the full regalia of his rank. He wears a woolen tunic under his leather garment with the tasseled, flexible straps that would have shielded his groin from injury. His torso is encased in a bronze corselet with 2 rows of leather flaps descending from its lower edge. The corselet was fashioned to look like a bare, powerfully muscled chest. Both it and the leather flaps are embellished with low-relief figural and decorative elements, some of which were believed to magically protect the emperor from harm. This is a 2nd century Roman sculpture of the head of Mars, made of marble. Roman sculpture reached its most massive scale during the 2nd century AD, when enormous statues were created to adorn public buildings such as baths, theaters, and temples. This over life-size head once belonged to a monumental statue of Mars, the Roman god of war, who was commonly associated with the Greek god Ares. Here the stern-faced deity wears a magnificent helmet decorated with griffins, fantastical winged beasts associated with Nemesis, the goddess of revenge. On each cheek guard is an image of Cupid, the god of desire, carrying a spear and shield. In Roman religion, Mars was closely associated with Cupid's mother, Venus, the Greek Aphrodite, the goddess of love.
This Roman sculpture is titled Portrait Bust of a Woman, created around AD 140. The identity of the subject in this striking portrait is not known, but her elaborate coiffure, which emulates a fashion trend sent by Empress Faustina the Elder, wife of Antonius Pius, and her daughter, Faustina the Younger, whose coin portrait is depicted in the adjacent case, suggests that she lived during their lifetimes. Her hairstyle, which would have required a servant to arrange, along with her bejeweled headband and richly textured clothing, indicates that she held a prominent position in Roman society. It is likely that she was a priestess of the imperial cult, a state-sponsored religion that perpetuated the memory of dead and deified members of the ruling family through special rituals and acts of civil benefaction.
In this picture is a 5th century ancient Byzantine mosaic titled Man Leading a Giraffe. This mosaic fragment was once part of a larger composition that paved the floor of a wealthy family villa in the eastern Mediterranean, composed of thousands of small tesserae, or small stone cubes. It shows a giraffe and a human handler standing against a decorative backdrop of scallop-shaped semicircles, no doubt originally set amid a profusion of other wild and exotic animals like the deer, the leopard, and the camel from other mosaic floors displayed nearby. Giraffes such as this one captivated the imagination of those who saw them in parades and public games. Writing around the turn of the 3rd century, the ancient historian Cassius Dio, among others, called the marvelous creature a camelopardus, because, in his opinion, the giraffe combined the physical traits of both the camel and the leopard.